Hello and welcome to the video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at this thing here. This is the 1100mm Durafly Sidewinder wing. Now this is something again that was previewed by Stuart before he left Hobby King over a year ago, and it's finally here, so it's great to be able to get our hands on this and give it a fly. For those of you that have watched the channel for a while, you'll know that I'm a wing fan. And I have lots of wings here, varying in sizes from really small little dinky things that are great for park flying, up to bigger wings that are capable of long distance flight. I've had a load of Texumos, the Bonsais are really good, also had loads of the ZOHD product as well as the TBS Capina 2. And this is an interesting one because the power plant in here looks very similar to the one that was in a plane that I reviewed a while ago, the EF Extra. Now the EF Extra is a little hotliner and was a fantastic plane until I completely destroyed it in a high-speed crash through a hedge. Following that, I bought an EFX, which is kind of the lower grade one. I'm in the process of actually swapping the components over from the EF Extra into the EFX, and looking at the components on this model as well, there's an awful lot of similarity. It's a very similar motor on here. They've reduced the ESC amp rating, but they've also reduced the prop size as well. And I loved the power system on the EF Extra. It made for a very quick little model, so it's going to be interesting to see how this flies. Pretty sure I'm going to need a high C battery to keep this thing running because this wing is touted as a speed machine. So first of all, let's talk about the specs. So again, this is a 1.1 meter span, about 43.3 inches, 480 millimeters long. So it's a very long, thin wing and looks quite different from some of the other ones that I've had here. Weight's under 600 grams. Aerostar 50 amp speed controller. It's an Aerostar 3536 2000 kV brushless outrunner. I think it was a 1750 kV on the EF Extra, and as we'll see in a minute, it's designed to run with 5x4.5 props. You get another prop in the kit, but that is one you shouldn't use, so I'll put that in your spares bag for something else. So let's talk about how it comes in the box. The box itself is absolutely huge. If I just put the radio on top here, you can kind of see how big it is. I can't even get it into the frame, even with my camera right at the very highest position. So make sure that you've got lots of room to unpack this and sort it out. When you take the top off, you've got the two decal sheets. I already had this box open once, which is why everything's stuck together. This is kind of my fault. I didn't realize that the tape was like this when I put the box all back together for the video. But we have a bag of bits that you'll need to put it all together. There's the thing that covers the prop at the back. There's a couple of different size skids, and you also get 4 of the smaller props that you need that are recommended for use with the model. I really like the fact that they've put a bag of 4 in here. This is obviously something that they changed their mind about at Hobby King, but having 4 is great because you will occasionally catch a prop and mess one up. So the fact we've got lots of spares is brill. There are lots of different colours for the decals. I like that, means you can choose the one you want. It means there is quite a bit of waste in here, and unfortunately some of my decals were a little bit damaged from some of the protuberances at the top of the wing. Get them out of the way so we can see the main event. There's the original prop that we're not going to use. That's a heck of a pitch on that, actually. I can see why we're not using that. There is another decal sheet with the numbers on. I'm going to use lucky number 7, obviously. And then here is the wing. And it is a very pretty thing. But it is very long and thin compared to a lot of the other wings that I've had here. Underneath there's the holes that you can put your fingertips into for launching. Big whacking ESC at the back in lots and lots of airflow. Do make sure that you work those hinges before you put this thing together. They are quite stiff and they're just foam hinges. There is the upper winglets that go actually inboard of the wing, so they're not on the end. So now we've got everything out, let me just clear a bit of space and let's have a look at all the different bits that we've got and what we need to do to put this together. Because the building of this wing is going to take you all of about 20 minutes. There isn't really a lot of gluing or messing around. So if we open the bag of bits, then we have the upper winglets that are going to go on the upper part of the body. Then we have 2 lower skids. We have the mini versions. These are the short versions that go underneath. And what you do is you push these home and then pop 2 of the screws through them that hold the upper winglets in place. If you use the longer versions, which is what I've installed, it means that the prop, the 5-inch prop, is just brushing the tip of the ground. So that should protect the prop when you're coming into land, even if you accidentally manage to land on something quite hard. Then we have the covers that go over the servos when you've set them up. A dummy antenna, so you can try and make sure that the airflow over each wing is the same once you've attached your FPV gear. There's also a different version as well, so you can decide whether you want the linear or a circular polarized style. Both of these are dummy antennas. I'm probably not going to fit them. I don't like the idea of adding any more drag than I need to, but we'll see. Then we have the prop cover that goes over the top of the prop and makes it all look nice and neat at the back. To remove the cover in the middle to install your battery and FPV gear, it fits in at the front and just snaps in at the back with a couple of very strong magnets. This is one of those wacky design features at the front that I really love. It does look like something out of War of the Worlds here, and we've got the mount on the top for a nice FPV camera. So let's attach these winglets as the very first job. If you open up the bag, you'll find lots of these little screws, and there are plastic pieces to help line them up. Now be careful with these winglets, there's a left one and a right one, so make sure that you're putting it on the right side. Flip the model over and then just put the 2 screws from underneath using whichever skid you want, and that will hold them in place. Once that's in place, all I did was just use my standard trick to take these little plates off the side, undo the 2 screws at the front, and there's a little tab at the back. You're going to have to feed all the wires through to your receiver for this bay. There's not a massive amount of room in this bay, and I really struggled to get an X8R in here, but you can get things like orange receivers and smaller receivers in here. I would have liked if this bay was fractionally deeper and fractionally wider, because I'm going to have to end up putting one of the antennas back inside the canopy and another one of the antennas from the X8R out along the back of the wing, and that's going to mean me having to modify a few little parts. So with the servo set at 90 degrees, it's just a case of then installing the servo horns to make sure that the control surfaces at the back are nice and in line with the wing. Once you've done that, then you can glue on the covers, and that's the servos taken care of. Once everything's installed, you can see the prop just catches the mat. So in practice, that's going to protect it from getting snapped off in the event of a landing with the bigger legs on. Really like that. Such a small, dinky little prop. Does remind me, this motor and spinner combo, of the EF Extra. And that is a good thing for me, because that was a fantastic flying plane. Let's hope this wing is the same. I cut a channel out the back with the other antenna. I ended up cutting out a little bit of foam just to sink it slightly, just to try and make it as aerodynamically efficient as possible. And then there are 2 more pieces in the box that slip down the back of the box that I didn't spot, and those go over the back portion of the wing. They're just molded pieces, molded in the same way that the servo covers are, and they just glue on, but I had to very carefully cut out a recess to go over the top of the antenna for the X8R. Setup is a piece of cake. I did have to also make a little extension cable. One of the cables in the bay for the receiver isn't long enough for the LEDs, so that meant me a couple of minutes with a crimp tool, and I made an extension servo cable, and that put everything together. Putting the FPV gear in is a pretty straightforward thing. The camera just pushes into the front. I've used a bit of hot glue to keep it in place. There's a channel cut along the side, which is perfect. I'm using one of the Fat Shark cables, one of those long, thin grey ones, and I'm going to put an immersion RC transmitter, an old one actually, but because the bay on this side is huge for the transmitter, it'll fit in here fine, and that also allows me to run the JST power plug from the VTX into the main cabin. So just by plugging that all together, the FPV gear is in. Simple. So let's talk about what it's like to fly. Surprise, surprise, it flies very well. It's a wing. There's not an awful lot to go wrong, so long as the centre of gravity is right. The centre of gravity in the manual is pretty spot on, so make sure I have a fraction in front of that, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters, and it's flying fantastic. It is quite a loud model. That little prop is screaming away, so this isn't the kind of thing that you can fly in a local field where the neighbours complain. And even at 25% throttle, this thing is quite a nippy beast. And when you do open the throttle, it gets very, very quick indeed. Now the camera in the nose of this is an old run cam. I've just stuck it in there for the test, which is why the video looks as horrible as it does, but hopefully you can get an idea of what the view out of the front of the model is, and it's pretty good. In terms of the trim, I only needed a very small bit of trim to the left just to correct the torque from the motor, but once that was set, it flew absolutely great. The only thing I will talk about here is do increase the throw of your elevator just a smidgen. I found that the elevator control was a little bit lackluster, and so if you have something like a Tyrannus, extend the elevator upward movement just a little bit on the output of the radio. So in summary, what do I think? Well, the looks I think are going to be a Marmite thing for an awful lot of people. I like a lot of the design aesthetics on this, and there's been quite a bit of thought going in to try and make it as rigid as it can be with these very thin, long wings. The FPV camera fits in beautifully in the nose. The fact there's even a little trench cut at the side for your cable to go into the FPV transmitter is great. Those reinforced leading edges and nose is fab. Taken an awful lot of punishment. In the last 2 or 3 weeks while I've been flying this, I have had quite a few nasty little crashes. I've also had some bloody terrible launches as well, and the wing has taken all of those in its stride and shrugged them off, with only one thing breaking. And that was the cover on the ESC underneath, disconnected at the back, but a blob of hot glue, and that's gone back into position and stayed there for the rest of the testing. There's lots of room inside for a battery. Do make sure you're using a nice high C battery. I ended up using a 1500 milliamp hour, something crazy like a 70C battery, and it was fine. It meant that when you did blip the throttle, you didn't feel like it was lagging or you were having a problem getting the power to that motor and prop at the back. I really like the landing skids and the launch finger holes. Now, I tend to launch wings by holding them at the end. That's kind of what I'm used to. If you put this thing up to about 60-65% throttle and throw it into the air, once you've got it trimmed, it'll kind of do the rest for you. But those skids are fab. If you do bring it down in nice long grass and you do manage to land it, then it will mean that the prop isn't digging into the ground and getting damaged. Couple of other things to comment on. If you are going to push this model to the limits, then it might be worthwhile applying a little bit of packing tape as strapping on the underside of the wing. Now, from the way that Hobby King have put this together and some of the extra pieces, like these black parts that go over the top of the wing that you glue into place, there's also black spars that extend out the back. There's quite a lot of bracing internally in the wing. It looks like Hobby King have tried very hard to make sure that this wing behaves well when you are really pushing it. This is a 100+ mile an hour wing if you're going to run it on 4S, and you're going to open the throttle, and particularly in dives, you're going to exceed that. So my advice would be, if you are going to intend to push it to the very edge, then I would put a couple of lines of packing tape on the underside of the wing just to provide an extra bit of support. To be honest, I tend to do that on most of the models that have very long, thin wings. Even things like the Bixler benefits from it. So if you try any high-speed maneuvers, even with something like a Bixler 2, it can be quite alarming to see how much those wings bow up when you're trying to pull out of a high-speed dive quickly. And the last comment is there are 2 lots of prop in the box. There is the 50/50 prop, which is that light grey one. Put that in your spares bin and use it for something else. It's way too much prop for this model. That's why Hobby King have supplied the 50/45 bullnose props. And if you're not sure about why just half an inch on the diameter and another half an inch on the pitch will make a massive difference, then go and have a look at some of the videos in the Introduction to Remote Control series here on the channel. I explain some of the physics behind it. But that 50/50 prop will pull and generate about 50% more thrust and be way too much prop for the entire model. So put that one away. Don't fly it with it. You're asking for trouble if you do. So hopefully that's interesting for those of you that have been looking at this wing. It's a lovely flying wing, and it does look fantastic with those bright decals on it flying around in the sunshine. Just be aware of those couple of other considerations, and check out the fixed wing playlist for lots of my other fixed wing reviews. If you found that video useful or like the content, then please hit the like and subscribe button down below. If you want to go the extra step, you can become a Patreon of the Painless 360 channel and help provide support for what I do here. All the videos created here are put into playlists, so if you're interested in a particular topic, have a look at the playlist, and they all are organised in there to make them easier to use. If you're not sure if there's a video for your particular problem or topic you want to know more about, then add Painless 360 to the Google search term that you're interested in, and that should find the video, article or content about the particular thing that you're interested in having a look at.